Have you ever noticed in this realm of people on social media who fake disorders that they often tend to be specific ones? Things like ASD, DID, ADHD, these seem to be kind of trending on social media at times. In some of the stories we've talked about with people faking, they would kind of switch from one that happens to be trending at the moment and then a new one is trending and they switch to that one. In story number 2, we're going to be hearing of someone who would like advice for a friend who they believe is faking disorders. They claim to have DID, an alter with ASD, and a persecutor who is just allowed to say whatever they want because, hey, they're a persecutor, even though a lot of people with DID do not like that term. How would you approach a friend who you believe might be faking? Make sure to give this video a thumbs up, subscribe, and let's get into the video. I've seen a common pattern amongst fakers. They almost always seem to fake the most random disorders, but they all collectively fake them together. For example, I've seen so many people fake things like DID, BPD, or autism, but I've almost never seen anybody fake things like conduct disorder or hoarding disorder. I'm not saying that people don't fake these disorders, because I'm sure they probably do, but they aren't as popular to fake. Is this something that only I seem to notice? I would love to hear your thoughts. If you do have any of the conditions stated in this story, I'd be curious what you think about your disorder and it being faked. I mean, borderline personality disorder, for example, has been compared to having third-degree burns on your body. That is how painful it is emotionally. Along with DID, formed from complex childhood trauma, which is accompanied by PTSD. The answer might lie in their increased visibility online, making them more likely to be faked, and in the good part, discussed. It is a good thing to discuss mental illness when you're not stigmatizing these disorders. This increases the likelihood of people online claiming to have these conditions, whether they do or don't have them. Apps like TikTok, Tumblr, Twitter have these subcultures where the disorder is more visible and can even be romanticized. Humans are social and pack animals, and if we can't find a niche that we fit into, we might force ourselves into one. You know, I'm sitting here with these things that I perceive as symptoms of BPD. What's better, sitting with them alone or going online and claiming to have it and getting all of this attention for it? Along with, it's more convenient to fake disorders that are more internal, although Tourette's is one of them.
Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Catch a tiger, he's a hoe.
Or in cases of DID, where the disorder is less researched than, I don't know, things like anxiety disorders. DID especially, it leaves more to the imagination, where people are kind of saying it's like role-playing the DSM. Some people who fake disorders, it almost seems like they want to elicit like this attention and sympathy, which sounds so bad to say, but if someone says,
listen, I went through extreme childhood trauma and that's why I have DID, but that's why it's okay for me to do all of these negative things on you.
And then of course, when it comes to things like BPD or ADHD, a lot of us have symptoms of these without actually having it, so we might actually just convince ourselves that we do have it. Someone on Reddit had something really interesting to say about this. In my opinion, because those are easier to fake, and they can be turned off and on easier. If you're faking hoarding disorder, you have to live in a cramped room full of stuff and use a lot of your money to buy useless items. If you're faking autism, it's more versatile. If a faker forgets to present in a typical autistic way, they can just claim that it's a spectrum and they felt better on that day. And one can take their normal interests and blow them into special interests. As a diagnosed autistic person, I couldn't testify to how a normal interest feels, but I'll use Has Been Hotel for example. You like Has Been Hotel, you think the characters are cool, and you're a lonely 12-year-old. You pretend to have them as alters. Also, the use of being quirky and neurodivergent is another way to feel a part of a group. A majority of adolescents spend most of their time trying to fit in, and in the fact that DID is a niche, and most fakers commonly present with introjects, strongly based off of one piece of fiction, like the DSMP or Has Been Hotel. Then fit into their selected niche better, the 12-year-old starts faking DID. It could even be seen the same way with adults, as they generally only are friends and dating fellow systems, simply because they are still trying to fit in. But make sure to comment below your ideas or something that I may have missed, because it is a very complex question. Hey, I'm mostly looking for advice on how to approach someone who actively fakes disorders. I've known this person for a while, and it seems like every week they have a new disorder, and it's kind of exhausting. I'm not accusing them out of nowhere. I know I'm not a licensed doctor, but when they said they had schizophrenia and I asked them if they hallucinate visibly or audibly, they said no. It's honestly pretty disrespectful considering how many people struggle with these disorders. Another time we were in a group setting where we all got to talk about trauma and PTSD, to which they spoke out. I'm the only one here without trauma. Just to approach me days later with news about their DID and autistic alter? What the heck does that even mean? They also act really freaking weird when they have their persecutor like telling me to f off and shit, and I'm pretty tired of it at the moment. So yeah, I mean, obviously there are two sides to every story. I can't know whether this person is blatantly faking or what's going on in their head. But some good advice that I've heard before is just straight out ignoring all of this faker stuff. Like if they bring it up, just change the subject. I mean, a lot of us do that in real life. Like if someone is talking about something that makes you uncomfortable, like politics, you might be just more inclined to just change the subject, even if that person is still your friend or family member. But at the end of the day, if this does continue and it is distressing for you, it might be worth considering to assess the relationship. Maybe evaluate the importance of your relationship. I mean, if my sister was faking a disorder, I might act differently than if just a person who's kind of my friend but not really faked a disorder. This can help you decide whether or not you want to address this issue, and if so, how. Because at the end of the day, if someone you love is struggling with a maladaptive behavior, would it be appropriate to just leave them or cut them off? I guess that's a huge question. If their behavior is affecting you negatively and you don't want to just cut it off, it's important to set clear boundaries. Let them know that their behaviors are unacceptable to you and how you plan to respond if they continue. When someone we care about uses maladaptive behaviors, our first inclination might be to help them through it. But unfortunately, as much as we help this person, it can be very, very difficult to just completely change their mind. I mean, it kind of goes along the same way of like, just stop faking disorders. I don't know, if someone has an ED, maybe just saying like, well, just don't have an ED. It's like, well, yeah, but what are the underlying reasons why they do have these behaviors? And with this person specifically, DID or not, it's not a free pass to be disrespectful to you. If you do have a dissociative disorder like DID or OSDD, and you do have an alter who might, I don't know, like lash out on a friend, I've seen a lot of systems collectively decide like, well, we're not just gonna say this alter can't talk to you, maybe we'll stop talking until I'm at a place where I'm able to talk to you. But at the end of the day, prioritize your self-care. I can't imagine how exhausting this experience must be. Some people in the comments are being like, you should be petty about it. Tell them the diagnostic criteria for schizophrenia and DID and that their symptoms might not align. But I don't know how I feel about this, because I feel like when you fight fire with fire, you'll end up with more, more fire. Someone on Reddit said, faking, definitely, most likely, or not. Your friend is not doing well. People don't fake disorders when they're in a good place mentally. Usually, people who fake disorders do so because they enjoy the feeling of being important, the feeling of individuality, the care and or attention that they receive, or because they can get something specific out of it. In this situation, it additionally seems like your friend is using their self-diagnosis as an excuse to vocalize otherwise taboo feelings of both infatuation and dismay towards you. If this is someone you care very deeply about and whom you'd like to stay in your life, I'd suggest confrontation. I get the point that others are making of ignoring problematic behavior / not rewarding it, but I think it's important to state boundaries. So I'd say, I can see that you have some mental health concerns, but remember that self-diagnosing can be potentially damaging. The disorders that you're speaking of are also very heavy. Let's get you to a psychiatrist who can make a proper assessment so that you can figure out exactly what's up and get the proper care needed. If you are on the fence, I'd take the other's advice of starting to distance yourself. So I guess my question is, what would you do in this situation? I guess I would say I would be more inclined to kind of speak to them about the diagnostic criteria, trying to help them the best that I can, but then when it kind of comes to a point where it's too stressful, you just kind of might disconnect a little bit. I don't know if this is good advice, and I really can't say what I would do until I'm in those shoes, but I don't know. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up, subscribe, turn the bell on if you're feeling risky, and comment below. Thank you very much. It helps with the algorithm. Thank you very much to all of my manatee members members, I appreciate you so much for supporting my efforts on this channel. But to everyone, I hope you have a good day, night, whatever the case may be, and peace out.